Right, we've got something real different for you in this film. We're moving away from the world of rock stars and into the world of true crime, robbery and murder. We are back, taking you back in time to the 18th century England to tell you the incredible story of how the people in East Yorkshire captured and brought to justice the most notorious and feared highwayman in history. Dick Turpin!
Early 18th century England was a dangerous, lawless place. There was no established police force, and criminals would act with impunity. From this maelstrom of villains, robbers, murderers and thieves, one class of outlaw rose to almost mythical status. That was the highwayman. The masked horseback robber who brought fear and death to the coach travelling public of England. Now, 300 years later, if you think highwayman, you tend to think of tales of myth, glamour, even romance. You think folk hero. You think Dick Turpin. Today, Dick Turpin is thought of as a sort of romantic supervillain who stood up to authority. Even to the Victorians, he became a fantasy hero in fancy dress, embodying danger, rebellion and free spirit. With morals and a firm sense of social justice, nothing could be further from the truth. Unlike other folk heroes of our past, for example Robin Hood, Dick Turpin was a real man. His story was much darker than legend would have you believe. In reality, he was a murderously violent bully and a coward. Born in 1705, Turpin was a butcher turned poacher. His gang, the Gregory Gang, soon turned their hand to armed robbery, gaining a reputation for violence, torture and rape. They preyed on the defenceless, beating, burning and slashing their victims. The gang were eventually brought down, but Turpin managed to escape arrest. One of the captured gang members gave a description of Turpin. Dick Turpin was now a wanted man. He holed up in Epping Forest, which provided the perfect environment for his new career as highwayman. Eager to claim the large reward on Turpin's head, a forest keeper's servant, one Thomas Morris, set out to capture him. Turpin shot him dead. The price on his head was now £200. Turpin fled to East Yorkshire, where he was eventually captured and brought to justice. And this is that story.
Just need to check my collar. You ready?
You look like a vicar.
Ready? Yeah.
Turpin arrived at the town of Long Sutton in Lincolnshire in the year 1737 and settled there. He changed his name to John Palmer, Palmer being his wife's maiden name. He was soon accused of sheep stealing and horse theft, but escaped the custody of the local constable. He hastened north, and sometime around June 1737 he crossed the River Humber and arrived at the Ferry Inn at Brough, East Yorkshire. He lived here and at Welton for some 15 months, posing as a gentleman and a horse trader. He often travelled on the ferry to Lincolnshire to see friends, as he pretended, eventually returning with 3 or 4 horses, which he used to sell in East Yorkshire.
Right, so here we are on the side of the River Humber, Lincoln over that way to the south. But we've got a much more modern way of crossing the Humber now. It's called the Humber Bridge over there. It was the biggest single-span suspension bridge in the world. Where is it now, Mike?
It was the new one is in Japan.
Japan, yeah.
Yeah, it was only the biggest one for about 3 or 4 years.
Not that long, was it? But it was open mid-80s, I think, about mid-80s.
Early 80s, yeah.
But yeah, beautiful bit of engineering. And but poor Richard, Dick Turpin, he had to go across there on probably a small raft, wooden raft or whatever it would have almost been at that time. And then it was 64 miles to Hickington in Lincoln, which is a bit of a ride. So, lovely calm day today.
It is, yeah.
Lovely calm day. It's not always like this, the River Humber. I think it's the 6th most dangerous estuary in the world.
Yeah.
Am I right there, Mike?
Yeah, the currents are treacherous.
Yeah, the currents. The Humber pilots, I've spoke to quite a few of them over the years. They say it can be really dangerous. Yeah, it's the 6th most dangerous estuary in the world. So all the side currents and sandbanks and stuff. And
can you imagine crossing this at night on a raft?
On a raft with livestock on it. Livestock on it, and some of them possibly legitimate, others not legitimate. But because he did start off as a legitimate horse dealer, apparently so. But yeah, so let's move on, shall we, Mike?
Yeah, let's move.
So here we are at the. This is reputedly the where Dick Turpin was first arrested before he fled to further west to the Green Dragon. But initially he was arrested at this pub, the Ferry Inn. It dates back to 1600, the original. This particular building was 1841, built in 1841. Got a lovely picture up there. Look at the men on a ferry. Well, a raft, as it looks to be there. But imagine going across the 6th most dangerous estuary in the world on a wooden raft of that kind of nature. So we can only assume that the river to the south of this pub would have been right up, more or less right up to the pub, and a lot of this land was reclaimed in the 18th century. So initially, if we take a look at the back of the pub, that would have been the side of the estuary before it was all reclaimed. Yeah, Mike came up with an interesting thing that he said. I was saying that the ferry must have been at the back of the building here. So this was all reclaimed in the 18th century, and you can see, look, it is quite marshy there where the sheep are and that. It looks like marshland, and we can only assume that this would have been water right up, possibly 100 yards that way, or a bit further, or even nearer. But yeah, I mean, it was all reclaimed 18th century, right up to Blacktoft and Broomfleet, right up that way. So Blacktoft and Broomfleet are about 23 foot below sea level, which is the edge of the Humber. So the estuary would have been much bigger back then, much bigger, and it's all reclaimed. Right, so here we are, we're right in front of the Green Dragon pub. This is the one where he got arrested. There's so many stories saying that he got arrested here, so he's escaped from the Ferry Inn in Brough, which is further to the east. He comes here, he's in kind of in hiding and that. They reckon he had a cottage on Welton Road, which is just over that way. But the story is that he actually escaped from that round window up there. Now this is probably nonsense because the pub is built at a much later period than that, but this pub has been listed as an inn in the 17th century, so it's possible that this is the original site, but the story is that he escaped from that round window. So what a guy. So let's just take a walk over this way, and there's a really good sign up here. Going to walk up here. There could have been stables.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah,
stables at the back. Stable block at the back.
Hey, Black Bess might have been housed in those stables.
Yeah. So here we go. So and here it is. Look. 1738. This is where they finally got hold of him. But it escaped quite a few times. Ran it, and he was going to get caught up with in the end, and they got him. They caught him here, took him to York, and it goes on from there.
Now we come to Dick Turpin's arrest in East Yorkshire, and to help tell us this story, we are very happy to have with us local historian Mary Raymond. Welcome to Melodies and Memories, Mary.
Thanks for having me.
Right, the circumstances of Dick Turpin's arrest were truly bizarre. He was living as a gentleman in the East Yorkshire village of Welton at the time, and he often went out hunting and shooting with the other gentlemen of the neighbourhood. It was on return from one of these expeditions that the strange circumstances that led to his arrest occurred. Could you tell us more, Mary?
Yeah, so this happened in October of 1738, and so as you say, Turpin, or John Palmer, was returning to Welton after being out shooting, and he came across one of his landlord's cocks in the street and promptly whipped his gun out and shot its head off. And this was witnessed by Mr. Hall, one of Palmer's neighbours, and he said to Palmer, "You have done something wrong in shooting your landlord's cock." Whereupon Palmer said to him, "If you would only stay whilst I charge my piece, I will shoot you too."
Oh my God. What happened then?
So Mr. Hall went to inform the landlord what had happened, and then the landlord and Mr. Hall went straight to the local magistrate and secured a warrant for the arrest of John Palmer.
Right, so the next day, Palmer was taken into custody, yeah, and appeared before a bench of justices in Beverley, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So there was 3 justices of the peace, and they started making inquiries into this John Palmer, and then they became aware of his frequent trips into Lincolnshire, and he always returned with lots of money and several horses.
Yeah, and then I understand that the magistrate sent a messenger into Lincolnshire. And what did the messenger discover about this man in custody in Beverley?
Well, he discovered that this Palmer was a sheep stealer and also a horse thief who had escaped custody of the local constable in Beverley.
Right. And what did the justices in Beverley do with this information?
Well, they decided that the case was so serious that Palmer should be dealt with at the York Assizes, because at the time it was a capital offence to be a horse thief, punishable by death. So Palmer was transferred to York Castle in handcuffs at that point.
So this rash, stupid action of Turpin's led to his downfall. But you could say that this act was totally in character of the man.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Right, now we come to an amazing twist in this tale. how John Palmer was discovered to be none other than the notorious highwayman and murderer Dick Turpin. Right, so now we have Dick Turpin alias John Palmer safely locked up in York Castle. Now Turpin is desperate for assistance, so he writes to his brother-in-law, one Pomper Rivendell, at Hempstead in Essex, but Rivendell refuses to accept delivery of his letter.
Yeah, because Rivendell claimed quite rightly that he didn't have any correspondence in York.
Right, and now we come to an amazing coincidence.
Yes, so the letter was seen by one James Smith, and he happened to be an old school friend of Turpin's, and he was the one who had taught him how to write. So he recognised the handwriting on the letter being Turpin's, and so he took it to a Justice of the Peace.
Yeah, okay, and what did the Justice of the Peace do with the letter?
He opened it and sent James Smith to York, whereupon on the 23rd of February 1739, he identified John Palmer as the notorious highwayman Dick Turpin.
And what happened to James Smith?
Well, he collected the £200 reward that had been offered following Turpin's murder of Thomas Morris.
Yeah. Great, thank you, Mary.
You're very welcome.
Turpin was tried at York Assizes. Proceedings began on the 22nd of March 1739. He was charged with the theft of 2 horses and a foal from one Thomas Creasy at Heckington, Lincolnshire. Technically, the charges were invalid. The indictment stated that the alleged offences had occurred at Welton on the 1st of March 1739. The offences had occurred at Heckington, not Welton, and in August 1738. Presiding over the trial was Sir William Chappell. Turpin had no defence barrister. Among the 7 witnesses called to testify were Thomas Creasy and James Smith, the man who had recognised Turpin's handwriting. After Smith's testimony, Turpin was told he was allowed to ask Smith any questions. And Turpin responded, "I never knew him." Palmer, you are allowed the liberty to ask the witness any questions.
I never knew him.
A Mr. Edward Sarward of Hempstead in Essex was called to identify Palmer as Richard Turpin. Do you know this Richard Turpin?
Yes, I do know him.
And how long have you known him?
About 22 years. I cannot say exactly, but about 22 years upon my soul.
Mr. Sarward, you have sworn once already. There is no need to swear again.
I knew him ever since he was a boy. He lived at the Bell Public House.
Did you know him as an adult?
Yes, he became a butcher, and I have bought a great many joints of meat of him, upon my soul.
Mr. Sarward, I find that I must have to warn you again. Do not speak so rashly. Remember, you are on oath and should speak seriously. Now, look at the prisoner. Is that Richard Turpin?
Yes, that's him, Dick Turpin. That's him, all right. I never knew him.
Turpin denied the charges of horse theft, claiming the horses were bought legally, but he could produce no witnesses to prove this. The jury found Turpin guilty of horse theft, without even going out of court. Mr. Turpin, have you any reason to give why sentence of death may not be pronounced against you?
It was very hard for me, my lord, as I was not prepared for my defence.
Why were you not? You knew the time of the assizes as good as any other person here.
I was led to believe, my lord, that I would be tried in Essex. So I thought it was needless to prepare witnesses here.
Whoever told you was highly to blame. And as our country have found you guilty of a crime worthy of death, it is my duty to pronounce sentence against you. You will be taken from this place to a place of execution, whereupon you shall be hanged by the neck until you are dead, and may God have mercy on your soul. Send him down.
What makes you think I'm a highwayman anyway? For what you have sentenced me to, my lord, may you tear in your grave and rot in hell. But may I have that last request?
Granted. Dear child, I received your letter this instant with a great deal of grief. According to your request, I have writ to your brother John and Madam Peck to make what intercession can be made to Colonel Watson in order to obtain transportation for your misfortune, which, had I £100, I would freely part with to do you good. In the meantime, my prayers for you, and for God's sake, give your whole mind to beg of God to pardon your many transgressions, which the thief upon the cross received pardon for at the last hour, though a very great offender. The Lord be your comfort and receive you into his eternal kingdom. I am your distressed yet loving father, John Turpin.
Right, so here we are. We're at the execution site of Dick Turpin. We've just seen the stone down there. Apparently a lot of people were hung and executed here, even for burning down haystacks. That was a death penalty, burning a haystack down. But commonly enough, stealing horses and sheep and livestock. And he was hung on these grounds, the gallows. He paid for 5 mourners to walk behind the actual carriage as he was took to the execution site, possibly somewhere in that direction there. So here we go, we're at the actual site. I've got a couple of paragraphs here of the original transcription of what actually happened. I'm going to read it out, it's interesting. He was carried in a cart to the place of execution on Saturday, April the 7th, 1739, with John Stead, condemned also for horse stealing. He behaved himself with amazing assurance and bowed to the spectators as he passed. It was remarkable that as Dick Turpin mounted the ladder, his right leg trembled, on which he stamped it down with an air and with undaunted courage, looked around about him, and after speaking nearly half an hour to the topsman, threw himself off the ladder and sadly expired in about 5 minutes. So it was a slow death. There was no trapdoors then, it was just off the side. And but yeah, kind of sad, but who knows. So here we are at the last place of after his execution. It was brought to this pub, the Blue Brough, and reputably it was left in here for, how long was he left here, Mike? A couple of weeks? Does anybody know? Do you know? No. No, nobody knows. We're having a beer in the Blue Brough, and as you can see, it is the final resting place of John Palmer or Dick Turpin. Right, so here we are. We're visiting right near St George's Church, which is over there, and we're visiting the famous Dick Turpin's grave. Let's go and have a look at it, eh? Right, so here we are, as we said, in St George's churchyard, and the famous grave of Richard Turpin, Dick Turpin, alias John Palmer. There's a lot of speculation about whether he is actually buried here, and there was a study done at the University of York that says this was added in about 1918 just as a tourist attraction. So there's speculation that he's not actually buried here, but we've got the stone and that, and people have to ask that he was a crook, he wouldn't have got a gravestone, so this could quite possibly be just a piece of tourism, a mock kind of stone, but it's good that he's got a bit of recognition anyway. What is known is that after the burial, about 3 AM in the morning, the body was exhumed by body snatchers and taken to a local surgeon's house. Yeah, it was actually found by a group of people in the surgeon's garden. The crowd carried the corpse on a board through the city streets in a kind of parade. This time the coffin was filled with quicklime to make the body unusable for dissection.
Alright, when you're ready.
Right, here we are, we're in the burial site, supposedly the burial site of Dick Turpin. We've got a young man here Leon,
Yeah.
Leon, what brought you here, Leon?
Man, actually, I was just fascinated in Dick Turpin himself and everything.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
great
and I've
character.
actually split tourism in it. I've come since. Fascinating, to be fair. But yeah.
Stones over there if you want to go and have a look.
Yeah. Let's just go and have a
Yeah,
look.
there's them, yeah. You live in Yorkshire?
No, I'm from Birmingham, me boy.
Birmingham. Birmingham. He's a Brummie.
We got a Brummie here, boy.
Should have guessed from the accent.
Oh, you know all these like in the middle? Are they graves as well?
What we're saying about that,
Yeah.
even from the original graves, there was a different church here, chapel there. Yeah. And these are from the original one, and it was demolished and it was rebuilt on the land big churches.
Oh yeah.
That's what it was for, yeah. There it is. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, do you think he's buried here?
Yeah. I've been
No.
a study
Yeah.
from the University of York,
Yeah.
and they said it was placed here after 1918.
1918.
So yeah, so it's
And is it John and Richard both here? Or is that the same person?
John Palmer was his.
It was his Cody, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we said, if he'd been married in an unmarked grave, what he did. So
Yeah, so he's probably not buried here, but he's somewhere
yeah,
though.
put concrete on the front of it. Stop people trying to dig him up.
Yeah, of course.
But it's a possibility that Leon, you never know.
Yeah, but maybe, you never know, boys, do you?
Anyway, nice to meet you, fella.
And you, fella.
Yeah.
Enjoy your days, mate, yeah?
Oh, well.
I didn't fuck up once then, I don't think.
Alright, that's good.
We're happy days, we're happy.
Right, next one.
Yeah, it should be at the end of it. At the end of the trial when he sends you down. Me and Mike have a drink and shake hands.
Yeah. I don't know if I like that.
Good band, motherfucker.
we'll kick you out the door.
I don't know if I like that bit.
Send him down.
Well, you wanted to be Dick Turpin.
Alright.
Yeah. Can't you slot it into your collar on there? It's going to be safe. A little bit.
That's all you need is a bit of beginning.
Yeah, but it's slipping down on one side.
It looks alright though.
Yeah, it looks good. It's just slipping on one side. It slipped again.
It don't matter. I'm
A little bit on that
Yeah,
side.
it's not obviously.
This is him trying to be perfect. No,
No, yeah.
saying it don't matter.
Right.
Fucking hell, then. Have you not?
Colin's got it,
Have you not been to communion?
You're having your early bloody water. You're having your early water and your collar slips. You're a phony vicar. You're a phony vicar, you're not a vicar at all. Look at it.
It's a mess. Father Jack from
I'm not a vicar, I think we have a phony. We have an intruder.
What's wrong with that?
I'll leave it lopsided. Leave it lopsided. We're just going to film the coffin a bit. We're just doing a bit on Dick Turpin. Doing a bit on Dick Turpin, so you can sit there if you want. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to put. Oh, I've got the sign here as well, mate. Sorry, sir.
Oh, no worries.
You could have been on it if you want. Don't go on our YouTube channel, will ya? Don't go on it. Don't go on it.
What is it?
I'm playing guitar. We play guitar on it, and we do all sorts.
You'll give your name for it, mate.
Yeah.
Melodies and memories.
And put Mick Ronson to take you in there.
Yeah.
And we've gone viral. Got 5 million viewers. Oh! Are we on?
Yeah.
Right, here we are in the Blue Boar. Reputedly, after his body was robbed from the doctor's surgery. I'll do it again! I'm getting put off! Everybody's watching me! Come on, Mike. Right. Stop it! So it. Oh, I can't do it now, I'm laughing too much. Right. Serious face. So here we are in the Blue Boar pub. This is apparently the final resting place of Dick Turpin or John Palmer after his execution on the outskirts of York near York Racecourse. So there's his coffin there. Probably not the original, but probably is. What do you two think? Is it the original? Would you mind being on it? Don't want to be on it, yeah. Anyway, final resting place. Thank you for that. I'm not doing any more, mate. We just drink beer now. We just drink beer. Subscribe, won't ya?
Now, look at the prisoner. Is that Richard Turpin? Right, that's that bit. We'll do the sentence now. Fucking hell. Right, go a little bit. So we'll stop that bit, that's that bit.
I can't stop laughing. It's natural. You should have been a fucking judge.
On the last one, though, mate, it was a G.
You did it.
I hit it then, didn't I?
It was exactly
Yeah,
right.
You look like a pistol, would you?
Thank you.
Get him a beer.
Pistol Mickey.
Just realised.
I leave all these in for the outtakes. Pistol Vicar. He's a fraud. He's not really a vicar. I can't see the street.